This is the commentary for my film opening called Dream Ella. When I first began to plan and research for my film opening, I decided to look at a variety of different existing media products and look to see what aspects of them that I could take and incorporate into my own work through inspiration. One of the things that I noticed from looking at examples such as The Breakfast Club and The Avengers was that they had their production company name right at the beginning of the film. This was one of the things that I decided to add to my own film opening, feeling that it would benefit from this. Already, I knew that I did not want to use an existing production company for my film. Therefore, I decided to create my own. Originally, in my first rough cut called Behind You, I entitled the production company Coalface Productions, as this, being one of my nicknames, created a direct reference to myself, especially as I have worked on my own to create and produce my film opening. Nevertheless, after much deliberation and finally having completed editing my final product, I decided that the production company should be an effective name and something of somewhat relevance to my film. Therefore, I decided to call the production company Nagy Papa Productions, as this was unique and also had a personal meaning to myself. Nagy Papa, being a Hungarian title for grandfather, showed the relevance and effect that I was hoping to achieve, as grandfather typically means older, much more mature, and more experienced, and these are all things that I would desire for the production company that would hypothetically produce my film to obtain. Moreover, this then showed a greater relevance to my target audience, as this shows the fantasy genre that I have created is more of a darkened fantasy in contrast to the childlike fantasy, and as a result of this targets my desired audience of the teenage and young adult market. Another aspect of the production company is the lights that surround it when the name appears. I decided to add this as it adds a greater enchanted effect and shows the fantasy genre more. Throughout my film opening, the non-diegetic background music that I have used is taken from the fantasy film Pan's Labyrinth. I have used this as the music box sounds linked to the music boxes shown at the beginning and the end of the film opening, and also create a greater fantasy effect. This first shot is important as it links to the ending shot. Originally, I thought that the music box could symbolise Ella dreaming, but then thought that it was too much like the blockbuster Inception. Nevertheless, I decided to create it so that it would mean that whenever the figurine is spinning, it means that the locket is safe, and when it stops, it is in danger. In addition to this, you can see that the camera is shaking slightly and moves forwards and backwards. This is intentionally done as all of the shots that are not part of the dream sequence are point of view shots. I researched into different point of view shots and studied examples taken from St. Elmo's Fire and The Lady in the Lake. In my point of view shots, I didn't want to show the hands or the feet or the reflection of the person who is supposed to be looking around the room, as this then creates a larger sense of mystery. Mise-en-scène is also highly important within this shot, as you can see around the music box the pink toys and childlike books. Moreover, in the music box, there is a small box taken from the Twilight franchise. I decided to put this in the music box as it shows the audience that my film is set in the present day. You can also see clearly in this shot that I have cut down the sides of the screens. I have done this to the whole of my film opening to symbolise the darkness of the scene, making it seem that there is no way out of the action that will later on happen within the narrative. I decided to film the rocking horse when filming, as usually within a fantasy film, where there are young children involved, there is usually, stereotypically, somewhere within the mise-en-scène a rocking horse. Another reason I wanted to film it was to capture the childlike essence of my main protagonist. Here again you can see the camera panning shakily across a row of child's teddy bears. This shows the effect of someone watching and looking at them. When deciding what font I should use, I chose something that was elegant and something that portrayed a fantasy genre. So after I looked through a variety, I finally settled on this one, feeling that it portrayed that more. I chose to have the text a white colour, as this was then a connotation of the innocence of my character Ella. I felt that by filming this wall that was full of pictures and paintings created by a young child was effective, as once more it reflects the age of my character. Here you can see more clearly that I have added a shadowed effect around the text. This was done to show a contrast between the white connotation and show that there is danger within the narrative. I purposely asked my actress, who is 7 years old, to write, Everything that I dream happens in real life, here on this book, as having it in her own handwriting and showing her own spelling mistakes once more shows the innocence of her age. When adding my film title to the opening, I knew that it needed to stand out from the rest of the text. Therefore, I added a bolder shadow and a line around it to make it more vibrant. I also emphasised this by having the background wall blurred out and the edges of the shot rounded and colours added. In addition to this, I called my film Dream Ella, as Ella, within the film, dreams everything that happens in real life. Moreover, by having the comma and the full stop punctuating the title, shows that Ella is being told to dream, with the full stop emphasising the fact that there is no room to question, it is a command. I added the sweet motion sound effect, as this helps distinguish when the dreams are and what reality is. Moreover, I added a dream effect to the dream footage, so that this way we could also tell the reality from the dreams. When filming this shot, I purposely got Ella to run through the beams of sunlight, as I knew when I added the dream effect, the sun and the effect would create a bright white around her face. This would then emphasise her innocence. For this shot, I placed the camera on the floor, so that the only thing I would capture was Ella walking towards the locket in the foreground. I filmed this part of the wall as it once more emphasises the young age of my character. In addition to this, I felt very lucky to be able to film on this location, as the room that I filmed, in reality, is my actress's real bedroom. When I first saw it, it inspired me to create a fantasy film for my film opening.
Oh, Ella, can you grab the necklace, please?
You mean the locket?
Yeah. Thank you.
Here, I placed the camera on a flat surface, with the locket right in the front of it. Originally, the mother in this scene makes a mistake with her line, stumbling on the "lo" for locket and quickly adding necklace. Instead of reshooting, I decided to keep this, as it makes it seem more realistic and also creates a sense of inquisitivity surrounding the locket, making us think that the mother is hiding something from her daughter and the locket. Realistically, I could have ended the shot where you see Ella's hand take the locket, but I decided to continue the shot as a long take, as when you hear the mother thank her daughter at the end, it shows their relationship to the audience.
There was always some kind of great mystery about it.
Here you can see that the mother has changed clothes from the previous scene. This, once more, was done intentionally. I asked Lorna if she would change her clothing for this scene, as it was a dream sequence. I did this because, as Ella is the one dreaming, therefore keeping her in the same costume, she will be seeing things differently as the dream continues and changes. Another point about the dream sequences is that I did not want them to flow through in a specific order. I wanted them to be mixed up, not in a clear narrative cut, as this would then create a greater sense of fantasy and create greater questions. This next shot is really fast. This is because I wanted to portray to the audience that the person who is looking for something is becoming aggravated and angry, and therefore frantically searching for whatever it is that they're looking for.
There were people who were after it. They wanted the locket for themselves.
Protect it, right?
The hug, once more, shows the close relationship between the mother and daughter, which is what I wanted to portray to my audience. I have chosen to have the scream right after the hug to not only show the close relationship between the mother and daughter, but to also show that something happens to the mother, assuming that it is to do with the locket, and Ella, consequently, within the narrative, has to try and save her. I decided to have Ella quickly sit up in bed straight after the scream, showing that she has been ripped out of her sleep, breathing heavily because of what she's just seen. Moreover, again, I could have cut the heavy breathing short, but decided to have the clip as a long take in order to emphasise Ella's fear, especially as everything she dreams happens in real life.
Mom!
Even though Ella has awoken, I decided to cut back to what would happen next within the dream. In this shot you can see Ella is holding the locket in her hands. I decided to do this as it would show the reason as to why something has happened to Ella's mother, and that it is to do with the locket. The final shot is back to the music box, where the camera is still shaky, because of the person looking at it. Here the camera has caught the music box from a different angle to the first, showing daylight from the window behind it. This is done to show the morning has arrived, and this is one of the reasons as to why Ella has woken up, therefore setting the scene for the next scene to follow. By having the figurine stop spinning in this final shot, as mentioned before, shows that the locket is no longer safe, and therefore shows the unravelling for the rest of the narrative